Happy Thursday to everyone. Steve Wyss here, and I'm joined by RJ for this edition of Betting Weekly Live. A man in form, had a great winner yesterday on X, RJ, in a dramatic match. How you doing?
Doing great, Steve. Good to be back with you as always. I think as Nigel or someone put it, the dynamic duo. And it's always good to chop it up with you. Yesterday it was winners across the board, right? The entire crew did very well. But yeah, it was nice to get that winner, right? Especially big for Slovan Bratislava side, who maybe they're overachieving at this point, but very strong performance and nice comeback in the latter stages of that match yesterday. So that was superb.
Yeah, very, very good winner. Nigel Seeley was on fire in the women's tennis. All over.
Good miss.
In men's tennis as well, he had some great winners. Rory Barlow had a plus 200 winner in La Liga on the draw in the Leganes match. So, I mean, it just kind of sums up the live show. There's been a lot of winners recently. Hopefully we can get a few more winners out there today for everyone. We're going to be talking about La Liga. We're going to be talking about the Europa qualifiers, and I'll be mentioning some big market moves and big bets, winners and losers from yesterday. No US Open tennis today, but I can reveal that next week, the senior WTA handicapper, Roy Giovanni, is going to be making his debut on the live show. So we've got that to look forward to. Nigel's going to be on next week as well. I think he's on a plane right now, heading to New York City to watch the US Open. But we're going to start in La Liga. It's been a really interesting midweek round. Two matches today, Girona against Osasuna and Las Palmas against Real Madrid. We'll start with the earlier game, 1 p.m. Eastern time here, Girona against Osasuna. Girona minus 134 favourites. The over-under line is actually over 2.5 goals is now at minus 129. I think this is quite a tough game, if I'm being honest, RJ. Osasuna, I actually have a pick in the Osasuna game for the weekend. And you can watch the European preview show, which comes out tomorrow afternoon. But for this match tonight, I think it's difficult. Osasuna are not a team that I bet on very often. Girona, now last season, this would have been an automatic over 2.5 bet. Girona would have been the way they play. And that would be the direction that I go in, actually over 2.5 goals. I disagree with what Effie has put up on screen there. He thinks under 2.5. I would lean over 2.5. And that's just because of who Girona are. Their style, their footballing DNA is to attack. The manager, Michel, I mean, it's crazy stuff. But they've lost some big attacking weapons. For example, they've got Miofsky, who's been coming up front. He's former Aberdeen. Nothing against Miofsky. I like him, but he's not a Champions League style forward yet. So the chances are there for Girona. They're not always taking them. They lost 3-0 to Atletico Madrid at the weekend. I would lean like a 2-1 win for them here, but it's a tough game. I mean, this version of Girona, you've got to be careful when a team rapidly transforms in the transfer market each summer, haven't you?
You do, and you never know what you're going to expect. And honestly, this Girona side, very young side, different entire mantra, different approach than last year. So, I got to be honest, Steve. I'm siding more with Effie on this one. I think the goals will be low here. Just my honest approach. It's not a match that I could confidently stake on either way. To be transparent, I don't feel comfortable. Could be the coming out party though here for Girona, Steve. It could be back on home turf and they really they pick things up after a couple match days. This is match day 3, right? So they'll be looking to come to form, whatever that may be for them. And this could be a start for them at home early in this season.
The Osasuna new manager for this season, Vicente Moreno, was sacked after just 7 games at Almeria last year. He's already picked up more points in 2 games for Osasuna than he did in that whole spell. So good start for the new manager at Osasuna, unbeaten, but I don't think they've faced much yet. 2 home matches against Leganes and Mallorca. This is going to be their toughest game. I would have to say 2-1 to Girona if my life depended on a gun to my head correct score prediction, but probably not a betting match. It'd be a good watch, I think. Good entertaining watch, but no bet. A much more interesting match, I think, to bet on is going to be Real Madrid at Las Palmas. And it's no surprise. The 4 biggest bet soccer plays on Bet Rivers pre-game are on this game, and most of the money is on Real Madrid as a $16,000 bet on Real Madrid on the money line at -335. 10,000 on Real Madrid draw no bets. Add another $6,000 on that same one actually, and Real Madrid first half, nearly a $5,000 bet on them on -120 to win the first half today. So look, they always are going to be a big public play, Real Madrid, but they can also be a strong professional play as well, depending which way the market moves. I know you like a few goals in this game, though, RJ. That would be one of your better bets of the day.
I will, and I just want to make a correction. I saw on the graphic. I just want to be clear that I saw over 3.5 at -140. It's actually plus 140. So just quickly though, yeah, no, it's all good. Just wanted to highlight that. No, all good. Yeah, I do like the look of goals, right? So, looking at the start of the season for both these sides, Real Madrid, started off a tough match at the beginning of the season. Obviously they took on Mallorca on the road, which is they're a tough team, especially at home, 1-1, and that was the first match of the official season with this newly formed roster. They had a 3-0 win last time out against Real Valladolid. Las Palmas looking for their first win of the season at home. We all know Real Madrid are they're essentially an all-star team, right? They like Toni Kroos retired. They got Mbappe, Endrick. Mbappe scored so far for them in the Super Cup, but has yet to score for this side in La Liga. They have some injury concerns, and imagine Steve being a favorite, -330, right, -340, but you have the likes of Jude Bellingham, Camavinga out of your lineup, but you're still that strong. It just shows the talent on this side, right? I think you might see Brahim Diaz start here. There'll probably be a little bit rotation. Las Palmas, new manager, Luis Carrion. The previous manager moved on to Sevilla. Their season, a little bit different, right? They a 2-2 draw to start the season and then a 2-1 loss against Leganes. So they have allowed 4 goals in their first 2 matches against arguably much, much weaker opponents. They're winless in their last 16 La Liga matches. Real Madrid is unbeaten in La Liga since September 2023. They've won their last 4 matches against Las Palmas, and Las Palmas haven't beat Real Madrid since 2017. Now, do I really care about all that, the historical trends? No, not really. But what I look at here is this could be Mbappe's coming out party for Real Madrid. This is a very vulnerable Las Palmas side who are desperate. And to me personally, this has the look of goals all over it. The total is suspiciously low, and I think that maybe because of Real Madrid's form previously over the last few matches on the road, that the home matches generally tend to be a little bit more high scoring. But I like over 3 here at -118. I think we'll see a few goals, and I think we'll see a couple early in this match, and Mbappe getting on the score sheet here for Real Madrid.
I think you make a very good point about the injuries. You got to, I think, wait for the starting 11 here, perhaps, until you make your final decision on the match. I think Real Madrid should win. I don't rate Las Palmas. I've been on about this for months and months. They haven't had a win in La Liga since the 10th of February, which is a long, long time ago. This will be like a cup final to them, though. For once, they'll probably have nearly a full crowd. Doesn't mean that the crowds don't get you points, but they'll be up for this. I've got a feel, from what I've seen of Las Palmas, they're under new management this year. I think they might have a go. I wonder if both teams score. Yes, could be worth a nibble at -122. I'm not entirely sure. Do I trust them to score, Las Palmas? I absolutely hate trusting poor teams. Bad things happen when you bet on bad teams, RJ. They just do.
Oh yeah. When everything looks so obvious and clear, the opposite sometimes takes place.
The books are very clever here.
The books are clever, right? They know, they have all the advanced analytics, and I know we got a couple questions and a couple good ones here today. We got Effie, Real to win. Well, first off, Fox is asking how the ankle is. That's probably the most important question. Yeah, I mean,
better than it was. I'll be playing my cricket match this weekend. Back in the late fitness test, RJ, but I'm going to pass that fitness.
You were questionable, but you're in. That's good, Steve. That's good. And we got Effie here with real to win and team total over 1.5, over 2.5 cards.
I like it.
Yeah,
I do
that's
like that.
probably likely. That's a good one. And then HJK money line.
We'll come to that in a minute on the Europa.
Yeah, we will, won't we? Yep.
Ian says Real Madrid halftime full time. Ian Messina. Yeah, I mean that could be a market to look at here, because it covers for 1-0, potentially 2-0. I think there's goals in the game. I agree with you, RJ. I think there's probably at least 3. This is a Real Madrid team. If Mbappe's in the side, the goal line's got to be respected, right?
Absolutely, and I think
it really does.
I think Las Palmas have conceded the first goal in their last 8 matches, if I'm not mistaken. So, good looking there. Good look.
Well, they don't score many goals, do they? That's half the problem there.
They don't. So,
but they did score 2 in their only home match this season. It was a good match that against Sevilla, but
yeah,
I mean they were lucky. They were lucky to draw it. I thought there was a $1,400 bet on Kylian Mbappe under 2.5 shots on target, which is quite a brave bet, I think, at minus 278. Not sure about that. Mustafa has asked Real under 2.5 cars, Las Palmas over 2.5 cars is 3-1. That's not a bad shout, potentially, because Real Madrid are going to get a lot of the ball here. Las Palmas probably, like I said, it's their cup final. Some of their players are going to happily take some cheap cards, perhaps in this game. It's there's a lot of interesting opinions here. This is by far the most interesting betting soccer event of the day.
Absolutely,
simple as that, really. And yeah, your best bet over 3 goals Asian for the game. I can't really give one. I'm not going to force a bet here because I think the books are really clever. I liked if the Asian handicap was -1 or -1.25, I would take Real Madrid, but it's -1.5, and I hate -1.5. It's more. I hate that handicap because the amount of times I bet that and the team wins by 1 goal, it's crazy. So. Yeah, let us know what you're going to bet on that game, and we're going to move on to the Conference League, Europa League. Sorry, first. Just a selection of games here. There's loads more here that you can get involved in on betrivers.com or the BetRivers app. The Champions League midweek round, I must say, I found it quite tricky, but there's not quite as much at stake here for some of these teams. There's still decent money involved, but not quite as much. Probably one that stands out there, Elfsborg Molde. I'll add my 2 cents worth about this game in a minute, RJ. But there's a couple of angles that you quite like in this match in Sweden against Norway here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And shout out to Nico Leo in the chat. What's up, my man? Honestly, the Europa League out of all the matches, right? Europa League, Conference League, not much stood out to me, Steve. Right? I found it to be challenging to find really many good angles today. And one of the matches though that did stand out to me, kind of is like Sloven did the yesterday, is Elfsborg. Of Sweden, Allsvenskan. That's one of your top leagues, Steve, right? And Norway for that matter. So both these teams, I'm sure, are right in your wheelhouse. But Elfsborg head home with a 1-0 advantage. They beat domestically. They won over the weekend 3-1 against IFK Göteborg, 3-1, and they're now sitting or close to a Conference League spot domestically. But really, what stands out, Steve, is their home strength, right? They've won 11 out of their last 12 home matches. They very rarely concede more than once. Their performance in the first leg was quite strong. They arguably could have won 2-0, maybe 3-0. And heading back home, even with that small margin, if they were up 2-0, 3-0, to be fair, heading into the second leg, I might rethink this wager. But because they only have that slight lead of just 1-0, they're gonna go for it, right? Their home form, as I stated, is extremely proper. They will have some injury concerns right back. Sebastian Olsen is doubtful due to an injury. Molde, obviously, they bounced back over the weekend against HamCam with a 3-0 win, but they're struggling on the road, right? Their last 3 out of their last 4 away matches, they've lost. They've only kept 3 clean sheets in their last 12 away matches. Striker Frederick Gulbrandsen is out, and defender Valdemar Lund is doubtful. That is as of my notes earlier today, so that could have changed. But Really, what stands out to me here, Steve? Elfsborg on the money line. I believe it's plus 120 right now. It's plus 125 or plus 121.
Plus 120, yeah.
Yeah, plus 120. And team total over 1.5 for Elfsborg. That line, let me just confirm what that one is. That line is sorry about that.
Plus 100.
Is my
even
plus
money.
100, right? Even money. I really, really, really like that. I think this side has a chance to win 2-0. Maybe even see a 3-1 type match, but I see Elfsborg winning this fairly easily. And I don't want to jinx myself or go against the grain here, but I think Elfsborg it's hard to argue. They're the stronger side, and at home they've been impeccable.
Do you know what's very interesting? If Elfsborg qualify, they will be, I think, the lowest ranked side in the competition. They've got the lowest coefficient of any team left in Europa League. So everyone will be kind of queuing up to get them in pot 4, although I think they're much better than their coefficient would suggest. I'm not going to get involved in the money line here. Molde were really, really poor first leg. They could have lost by more. But you know what they do have, RJ? They have a lot of European experience compared to Elfsborg. And that they need to show that tonight. And I'm not writing Molde off. They've got to win the game, which I think that opens up the game. I like the overs here, over 2.75. And that taking the overs has let me down in Elfsborg in European qualifiers. In domestically, they're full of goals. Their matches are just nearly over every match. But for some reason in Europe, they've been a lot lower. So I would be looking at over 2.75 because I just think Molde is going to go down swinging. Whether or not, I mean, if Elfsborg play as they have been, they will qualify. But it's not, will the pressure of the moment get to Elfsborg here? I'm not sure. I do like the team total, actually, over 1.5 team total. That could definitely come in. So, but yeah, I can't really argue too much against you on the money line because of how the performances have been. I'm just looking back at the comments there. Dan Roebuck, unders and all Europa League games. Dan had a very interesting tweet today about the backing under 1.5 goals has been very, very successful. Very successful in these qualifiers. It really surprised me, that did. I couldn't believe the numbers, actually. Sometimes it is worth looking at the unders if you can. Let's just
have
talk
the
about,
stomach for it too, right?
Oh,
as we both struggle.
Unders are very, very difficult, really difficult. There's one other game I want to talk about here, and that is two more. Sorry, Steaua Bucharest against Linz. I quite like Steaua Bucharest there, the Romanian side. They've impressed me in these qualifiers, and I think they can get the job done here. Moneyline plus 115. But Rapid Vienna against Braga is a very intriguing clash. 1-0 lead for Braga heading into this contest. Rapid Vienna, I think they're a bit of a sleeper team, you know, RJ. I think they played some very nice football. Draw no bet on them is what I did look at here, plus 104. The only problem is if they have to go for it later on, they might leave themselves completely exposed. And I don't like betting against Braga, but I think Rapid Vienna draw no bet could be a consideration. My best bet for Europa League is that Elfsborg Molde over 2.75 goals. We're going to switch to the Conference League. There's actually a match live right now. Astana against the Norwegian club Brann. 1-0 to Astana with 30 minutes to go. They are 2-1 behind on aggregate. I mean, actually, I could even give a live bet out here because I'm very, very surprised if it ends 1-0. They've got to go for it completely. Have Astana. 1-0 is not going to serve them any good at all. I mean, I'm just looking at what the goal line is now for this game. Over 2.25, plus 102, over 2.25 goals. There's surely at least one more goal in this game, whichever end it goes in at. That would be worth looking at. If the goal line gets backable over 2 Asian, then that is definitely something I'd be considering there. But there are some bigger games later on. Panathinaikos Lons stands out. We had a really good discussion last week, me and Will White about that game. Heidenheim Hacken. I've got a few things to say about my good old favourite Heidenheim. Servette Chelsea, of course. Chelsea with a 2-0 lead. Is that going to be a gimme for them in Switzerland? I don't know. And Puskas Academy against Fiorentina, we had a question about that game. A shock result in the first leg, 3-3 draw. Fiorentina, one of the favourites for the whole competition, were in danger of even getting knocked out of qualifying at one point. And yeah, the question was from Ian, thoughts on Fiorentina winning over 1.5 goals. I mean, they just need to win. Do they? Are Fiorentina a 1-0 sort of side, RJ? I don't think they are. So I would say if they do win, it probably is by more than a 1-goal margin, especially if they led 1-0, then the other team are just going to have to go crazy and leave gaps at the back. That looks like a pretty solid play for Ian.
Yeah, for Ian, I think that is a pretty solid play. As you stated, they are the favorites. I expect them to to come to form today. I'm not really sure. One of the things to look at is just checking the. Yeah, I mean, it's Puskas. You have to look right from a perspective of how far our teams along in their domestic season. Right, Italy is just
definitely
kicking off their domestic season. In fact, they've only had one match or two matches, a couple draws. They haven't really actually. I think their last 4 matches have been draws. And Puskas of Hungary are well into their only 4 rounds into their domestic season as well. So honestly, this match is a little bit of a toss-up to me. If I had to lean one side, it'd be Fiorentina because of their domestic and international exposure. But
quality as well. I mean, they do have a lot more the golfing class. Yeah. Sure. Dan makes a good point there about the Hungarian Czech teams had the weekend off. Do check. A lot of leagues prioritize the coefficient here.
Sure do.
It's so important for the countries, and they let them have a game. They rearrange one later in the season. Some of the Dan reckons Victoria Plzeňa, if I pronounced that correctly, give me marks out of 10. A win away against Hearts at -105, best bet of the night. They don't need to win though, do they? That's the thing. However, it's not always as simple as that, is it? The SPL, the Scottish Premier League standard, often gets debated, doesn't it? How good is it? How bad is it?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that they should. I mean, I've been impressed with the Czech teams. Got to be honest. Sparta Prague were very good against Malmo. I heard some very good comments about Slavia Prague against Lille. Apparently Lille were very lucky to get through against Slavia Prague last night. So the form book bodes well for that. I'm going to talk about now Heidenheim against Hacken, my favorite German team, or not. Seriously, I don't like these guys. Heidenheim. How do you cap a team like this? Like seriously, RJ, every single match, Heidenheim, you look at the main stats: shots on target, XG, XGA, corners, possession, dangerous attacks, whatever. They always seem second best. And I'm not even exaggerating, but they find a way to get results. It's like this counter-attack of theirs seems to be incredibly clinical. And that's what happened in the first leg. Hacken, the Swedish side, completely dominated them, but lost 2-1. So Hacken have got to come to Germany tonight and they've got to open up and at least win in 90 minutes. I'm going to take the goals over 3.25. This is my best Conference League play today. Over 3.25 goals at -113. I mean, Hacken matches are stupid overs like all year. Domestic, European. They actually had a rare under at the weekend, but I think they had an eye. They had an eye on this game, I think. And I'm not writing them off. I don't rate Heidenheim at all. If Hacken can actually convert their chances here, that plus 370 on Hacken, I think would look big. But you watch, Heidenheim will fluke it again. They'll somehow be second best, but they'll find a way to get the
1-1 draw.
Well, it better not be 1-1. I mean, 2-2 or something when they. I mean, I think there's goals. I really am confident in the goal line, even though it's a 3.25 line. And I maybe would nip. I have actually nibbled the money line on Hacken as well. That might be more a patriotic play on my behalf. How do you cap these teams though that go against the stats and the trends? Do you just almost at some point have to accept that this team get results even though their stats don't show it?
To be honest with you, if I have to go against the stats, right, which is mainly how I approach the matches. I look at recent form, strength of schedule, the condensation of their matches. If it gets to that point, Steve, like a Heidenheim, and I see they just consistently go against the grain, I probably just avoid their matches in general. To be honest, I mean, there's 600 other matches to wager on, and just because and you bring up a good point, just because it is the Europa League or Conference League or big tournaments, I think most bettors, recreational, professional, or however you approach it, always try to find matches to wager on because of the significance of the competition versus really focusing on the plays where you either see value or you see a very strong chance of that catching. Now, some people cap things or tip things a little differently, but I usually let the stats help me to arrive. And a side like Heidenheim, I very rarely wager on because of their
You know that I was going to say
Yeah.
they must be a nightmare for even you, but I like your strategy of just not getting involved. And that's ultimately what I sometimes end up doing with these teams. And then 4 or 5 weeks down the line, I see a line or a price. I just can't help myself because it just looks so big. These sort of teams are always going to be the bane of my existence. And, you know, I love it when they get beat because it should happen a lot more than it does. There was a question about HJK Helsinki against KI Klasvik. HJK moneyline -122. This is Conference League. 2-2 draw the first leg. One of these teams will be in the group stage for the Conference League. Finnish team against Faroese opposition. I did hear that KI are not quite as good this year. So HJK Helsinki, I think they're deserving favourites on the money line -122. But
very
be careful
strong
there.
home.
Be careful. But I would lean with it. Yeah, I would lean with HJK. Panathinaikos game. I quite like Lons, Mustafa. If Will White was here, he would probably be the opposite way. But there was a very early red card in the match last week. Before then, Lons were all over them, dominant. And I think if they can just keep 11 men on the field, I think Lons might edge it. But it's a tough place to go, Greece. It's not the sort of place you ever really want to get a result. Any thoughts there or not?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Lens are just what's the price on that? Actually, Lens is
I think it's about +200 on the
they're
money
about
line.
even. Yeah, +150.
No, sorry, +145.
+145. I think that's a really good shout. I mean, like you said, they do have the lead. Panathinaikos, I just don't. Their form is not very good right now, and I think there are some injury concerns, but I would stay away, right? Like we're trying to nitpick some matches. I appreciate the questions. I think they're great, but personally, it's tough to find an angle in that match for myself.
Okay, right. Well, we're done for the day in terms of soccer betting. I'm just going to plug the tennis show there with Sean Carver and Nigel Seeley. Do give that a watch if you've not already. Just some other significant notes today. Some of the biggest bet tennis wagers at the US Open, over $6,000 on Alina Rybakina on the money line at a very short price. Today, $3,400 on a match which, actually, I'm not even why I'm mentioning this. Anastasia Pavlyuchev-Chumvikova against Elizabeta Ciocciaretto over -2.5 games on the favourite there. Nearly $4,000 bet on that one. And some other... A big notable wager in $12,000 on North Dakota State +11.5 against Colorado, RJ. That's quite a big bet there. Yesterday, biggest wager, and it was a winner, was in the Ugo Humbert game. They bet against him live, $30,000 on Francisco Comensana. That was the biggest winner yesterday on the Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Heading towards a massive weekend of sporting action. Tomorrow, I will be joined by Jack Wright on the live show. And then, as I said, next week, we're going to be seeing Rory Giovanni in action twice. Nigel Seeley's going to be on. Dan Roebuck is going to be a host on a couple of the shows as well. So plenty to look forward to next week on Betting Weekly Live. Will White is here.
He's here.
He's just come in for a quick comment. No view on the game. Lons rested over the weekend and should be competitive. So interesting. I thought he would actually be all over Panathinaikos in this particular fixture at home, but price maybe not big enough to lure him in, RJ. But it's been a pleasure having you. Best bet of the day before we go. What was that again for you? Would you say?
Likewise, great to be here. I would say it's Elfsborg team total over 1.5 at +100 even money.
Yeah. Same game for me, over 2.75 goals, -114. We think there's going to be goals in that game, Elfsborg especially, to cash them. But yeah, thanks very much, my friend. And thanks everyone who joined live or on demand. Do hit that like button if you're not already. It really helps the channel out. Same with the subscriptions as well. There's some great content coming on from that because we win. The Premier League show is going to drop in half an hour's time. So do get watching that, the European preview show tomorrow. Take care, stay safe, gamble responsibly, and I'll be back, say, tomorrow with Jack. Right, goodbye.